And now I want to alright, let's bring up alright. Why is that one not working? Okay, that one ain't working. Why not? Let's see if this one will work.
Hello?
Good morning, Dr. Jake Wade. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good now that I got your microphones turned on. Yeah, Jake, I was just, first of all, let me tell you, I really enjoyed the trip to the black church, or predominantly a black church down there just south of Austin. I was a little disappointed that you didn't get to speak there, but the preacher there did a heck of a job, I would say. He was really entertaining and really forceful, and I think he got his message out. And today I've been talking about the what's going on in Gaza. We've got Israel bombing Gaza, shooting children, using white phosphorus, committing war crimes, and I played clips from both a converted Jew, Brother Nathaniel, and Alfred there, that Webre, that talked about what's going on in Gaza. And at the same time, or right at the end of the show here, I pointed out that the same thing is happening here in the United States. They've got drones out here watching people, and they just shot 137 bullets into the car driven by a couple that was speeding or something. They launched into this chase. They were not armed, there was no weapons on them, and they shot them 137 times. So it is happening here. I've also pointed out in other shows previously that we are basically, we have, and it's the theme that I've told you before, mentioned before, that I felt like maybe we were in Armageddon for the last 100 years, since more people have been murdered by their own governments and killed in wars than at any other point in history combined. More people in the 20th century murdered by their own governments, by their own by armies in wars, and the death toll being more than the last 100,000 years in the world. And my question is, it is evil. This is evil as can be. What is happening? The war is not good for no one. And the evil that's being... How do we fight that without becoming evil? Now, you know, we're being poisoned. The chemtrails, I mean, the death toll ain't apparent because our media is not honest. They are covering for the pharmaceutical companies. They are covering for everything here. And they don't want you to know how many people are dying, how many people die in nursing homes, how many people die of prescription medications, and how many people didn't die from smoking pot. Jake Wade, pastor of the Way Church, dean of Timothy Bible College, and I believe that you are playing a role here, playing a part in a global scenario here that is most important, because if we can't educate people properly rather than indoctrinate people, we're in a lot of trouble. And everything that's been on for 200 years since the Germans discovered the protocols of the Elders of Zion to the Communist Manifesto, every plank on the Communist Manifesto is intact right now. And in my book, Mystery Babylon, I talk about the fact that, 2,000 years ago, they told us about the mark of the beast. Now they got commercials for it on television. And that's in April of 2013, that whole Obama health plan goes into effect. And you will be required to have that chip in your hand if you want your Social Security, if you want your income tax, if you want anything from the controlled government, you're going to get that. And the Bible tells us not to. How do we fight evil? How do we oppose evil? I'm sorry you didn't get to speak and preach at the Sunday, but they have told me that they will have you back there for this, and we're invited there anytime. Kind of strange, folks. We were there. Half a dozen of the truth seekers were there for at the invitation of Dr. Wade to support Dr. Wade, and we were welcomed. We were there. Oh, here's Clay Douglas, that racist to talk about at the NAACP website, in a black church, being real comfortable, having a good time, really enjoying the music and enjoying what the pastor had to say. You got the floor, Jake Wade.
It's a poignant question, and one that I think on a lot of folks' minds is that, and I warn all the time, you know, I've talked to you about it, we have to resist becoming those who we claim offend us, those who are the perpetrators of the Babylon ideology that we really fight against, because we do not want to be in Babylon. But as you said, this country has become so. And I think under the radar, we got so complacent because at one time we were considered, mostly by ourselves, to be the most powerful nation in the world, the most Christian nation in the world, and I think we allowed ourselves to be duped into a position that allowed for apathy and complacency, which, though unwarranted, we fell into, and it's dangerous because the attitude that carries with it is one that we are, to use a bad expression, our poo-poo doesn't sink. We can get by with doing whatever we want to. We're the best nation out there. I think that has gotten us to a place where we don't know as a nation how to vote anymore. We don't know how to hang on to our rights that are being eroded as we speak. And the invasion is by what will probably end up being the UN itself. Is not the UN, the United Nations isn't our problem. It's the driving force, as it says in Ephesians chapter 6. The principalities are what we're warring against, not the, and I hope I don't get in trouble with this too far, but the stupid people that are bowing to a master, an ideology that they're unaware is evil. I don't think most people realize they're bowing to an evil master, and to fight that without becoming like them, we must maintain a posture of not being them, not becoming the complainer, not becoming the one who's trying to scream the loudest, but be, as you say, you know, we've been dumbed down. Let's not be dumbed down anymore. Let's get smarter than they are. Let's use our intellect and God's setup to allow not only our intellect to fight the battles that we have to fight, even on their terms, but know their terms better than they do. And you know, you and I have looked at this and know it can be done that way. That those who bow to these entities are generally unaware that they are bowing to evil. So to answer your question, and I've rambled a little, I guess, but the trick is, or the approach is, that we cannot allow ourselves, we need to keep reminding ourselves not to be them, not to become like them, and try to pick up a bigger gun, try to yell louder, but to intellectually, because we're smarter, because we are better prepared. And you know, Mock's always presenting that at truce fixes, let us be prepared. And the preparedness has to be that we are smarter, that we have not bowed into the let's borrow whatever we want to and pay tomorrow idea that is controlling our economy. If we don't owe anybody anything, and we have our own source of electrical and various kinds of power to go on, our own water, as you said, the Liberty Village unity approach, we have a power that is very difficult to overtake. We can be effective on that basis, I believe.
The problem is uniting people. You know, people have asked me, Jake, Clay, why do you hate the Jews? And my response is, I don't hate the Jews. I hate evil, as God told us we were supposed to hate evil. We were supposed to and Jesus warned us through John about the Jews that say they're Jews but are not, are of the synagogue of Satan. Now, I think these people of the synagogue of Satan is in control. This is the beast, the eighth beast of Babylon, just come back, as the Bible predicted so well. I mean, for 2,000 years, the Bible warned us about the mark of the beast, and only with the turn into the 21st century did it become scientifically possible to do that, and they've got the schedule for that on the 13th of April. 13th of April, 2013. We go into this health care plan, and we won't be able to buy or sell without it. That's what they've been setting us up for all along. So the Bible is accurate, but it says we got to resist. And to me, the only way that we can resist without becoming as evil as these people are, and that's the problem I have with the whole Christian identity thing, is they're trying to tell you that that us white folks are the chosen race, and I have to agree to a certain point, because we are the most productive, and we have done as I put it out, the foundation of every civilization is the self-sufficient family farm. And that's what we've always done. That's the way we settled this whole country, was on these individual family farms that could stand on their own in the middle of a wilderness and
well, you know, as a political scientist, sir,
yes, sir,
you know, and by historical account, that the only reason in a representative government or republic kind of government that we sent anybody to Washington or anywhere else to represent us was that we were too busy on the farm, too busy in our little local community doing our business, to attend a meeting to have some, to get a standing army available, or to maybe agree that the group as a whole, all the collective little villages together, might need something. And then we gave the government we set up permission to manage that, only that little specific area, and by our representative presentation and control. And somehow or another, because of greed, and again, bankers usually take the lead, and once you start borrowing, you have bowed to their mastership, and now they are in control, and that's where we've got.
They told us that in the Bible too. The borrower is a slave to the lender. Did I get that right? Did I get that right? I mean, come on, folks. Now one of the things I want to touch on here, because I had the expert on that online right here talking to him, is that the mainstream churches, Baptist, Catholic, it doesn't matter, they sold us out. And Jesus warned us that people would come in His name and take advantage of you. Didn't he do that too?
Absolutely.
These
mainstream guys of wolf, he called them wolves.
the mainstream churches that are sending money to a criminal state of Israel. This is a safe haven. This is you've heard of a safe house, folks. You've heard of this is a safe country for crooks like Mark Rich and Jonathan Pollard. They're still trying to get him out. Fortunately, 50 years ago or more, back in the 40s, they did execute some of the Jewish spies, but they got back and they started the United Nations, and they attacked Rwanda, they attacked South Africa, by calling us white folks racist, and that's what they've tried to do to me. Now, I was just me and Dr. Jake Wade were together. I was a deacon sitting on the front row with a bunch of black deacons listening to a black pastor, and you know what, Jake? I didn't feel uncomfortable. I didn't feel out of place, and I felt more of God in that black church than I've ever felt in one of the big, fancy, cathedral-type churches that they're collecting your money and sending it to the Jews that say they're Jews, but are of the synagogue of Satan. I mean, come on. Am I being radical? Am I being off the wall here? I mean, this is we've got deluded Christians.
You know I'm going to be biblical, right?
Of course.
Let me give your listeners, and I'm sure you have some, but let me give them Bible, and they're not going to like this because the present day religiosity, the big organized churches with the names on the front, do send a lot of money to foreign countries, and that's all well and good if they get the process right. In Acts chapter 1, Jesus said, you take care of home first. Timothy was told by Paul, if you don't take care of your own family, you're worse than an infidel. So it's family first, your family, your church family first, your own community, like you said, Liberty Village, your own little village next. Then the wider community. It's like a pebble in a lake. Once you throw it in there, it ripples out. Once we've taken care of home business, then we can start looking abroad to help somebody in need, but not politically. We have used these things as political tools, as a political faction in the world, and as a church. They call it church, but as a church faction. Some guy sits there and he's got a lot of money, he writes a check to Timbuktu, or he goes to what they call missions work. He didn't have to go get any money. He hasn't had to go help the guy in the gutter, the rummies, the guy on drugs, the guy that, all those people that Jesus helped. He doesn't have to get any of that on him. He just sends a check, and he feels good. He goes home, I've taken care of somebody who's poorer than I am, and underprivileged, and they're in another country, so I don't even have to look at them. If you're going to help according to Acts chapter 1, It's in your own backyard, and some of your own relatives or your own friends are going to be the ugliest of all. And rather than avoid them, we have to not judge them and say, these are the people I'm supposed to take care of.
We've got more veterans from Vietnam. Vietnam vets have killed themselves back here in this country than were killed over in Vietnam. We've got the old folks and the people in the hospitals are demonized. We do need to turn our attention here. There's 190 some odd countries in the world, and we send foreign aid, including billions to Israel, who takes the most foreign aid, the most defense dollars. They're taking your money and they're sending it to all these poor countries, and we're sending it to only the countries that are communist. We stopped. We
can't operate in a bubble. That's unreasonable. But we were the most powerful nation, or at least it appeared so, when we were isolationists. When we literally, by design, stayed out of other people's business and other people's politics.
The churches have been well dumbing us down.
Amen. Amen. And that's what, one of our founding fathers said, that you cannot really enslave a well-educated and armed people. Well, they have dumbed us down, and now they're after the guns. So, we're slaves, but we're to finish the process, they've got to get the guns.
That's their biggest danger, and but what they're doing to us, folks, they've done to me. Now, my book, Mystery Babylon, will document this and tell you right step by step how they did it, what they were doing. But they're...
Let me recommend something to your folks.
Okay.
Get Mystery Babylon. It is a wonderful, professionally done historical account of what we talk about. Bankers' control, the Rothschild thing, the whole 9 yards. A wonderful, accurate, well-researched history of what's going on. And you can back this stuff up in an encyclopedia. It's just that Mr. Douglas has put it together where it's comprehensive and it is palatable. And I would suggest getting my book, or I forget how to say her first name, Iserby's book. Mine's called Sold Out. Hers is Dumbing Down of America, I think. But when you put those with Douglas's Mystery Babylon, you get a pretty big picture of what has been done to us and why.
They call one of the rabbis, Rabbi Weiss, I believe, said some call it, and this is back in the 30s, some call it communism, I call it Judaism for the masses. And what we have been led to believe by the churches, that the Jews are and this is all based loosely around the Schofield Bible that the Jews paid Schofield a lot of money to write. And most Americans think, well, Israel's got a right to defend itself. Well, aren't those Palestinians attacking them? Well, if they made all of us white Christians here in Texas into criminals, and they bombed us and they took our land and they ran our grandparents off of our land, I think we'd be a little bit hostile too. And we would be fighting back, and they are. The Palestinians are trying to resist. They are trying to keep and protect their families, and they've made a lot of progress, even in the UN, which is a communist-created, controlled organization that went after Rhodesia, when they even had a constitution based on ours, and they went after them, and they took it and they turned it into Zimbabwe and gave it to some colored butcher.
People need to go on the internet or somewhere and download Agenda 21. The UN's aim at literally eradicating people like you and me, and the small real church and groups like needs to do the truce. They have us scheduled to be ethnically removed from the planet.
They are, and this is war crime. What is going on in Gaza, what has happened to the Palestinians over the last 50 years is war crimes. It's a war crime. And much more so than anything the Germans did. The Germans were pretty humane, not like the Jewish-controlled Soviet Union, where they murdered German prisoners and American prisoners and shot down airliners.
Didn't you say that we're supposed to try to fight evil without becoming evil?
Yes, sir.
When you're nuking your neighbor, that is not biblical. That is not according to the plan.
Now, repeat that, please. Repeat that, please. What about our neighbors?
Nuke our neighbors. When they start sending rockets and shooting each other and claiming because you don't politically agree with me, I'm going to take you out. That is not a biblical approach.
No, it's not. And they keep in mind, folks, that in that tiny country of Palestine, the Muslims and the Christians live together, work together, babysit each other's kids, the same way the Mexicans and the blacks have fit into our society for the last 100 years. The blacks, they wanted to raise the blacks against us, the same way that they drove the Jews out of the Pale settlement in Russia and over across Russia. They've tried to do the same thing, and the blacks wouldn't go for it. No, man, that was my nanny, man. No, the whites didn't go for it. We aren't going to fight each other. It's kind of like I told that big black football player up in the penthouse in Miami. We were at a party, and he came up and said, "How do you feel about us black folks?" And I looked at him in the eye and slapped him on the muscular shoulder, and I said, "Bud, I got to be real straight with you. I don't like niggers, white or black."
Amen. Amen.
And I was in a church with a bunch of black folks yesterday, and I didn't see one nigger in the bunch. I didn't meet one nigger in the bunch because they were all really good Christians working at being a Christian. And it doesn't matter whether you're black or you're white or you're pink or you're purple, God doesn't care. God doesn't care, and He's in all of our hearts. But for an accident of birth, we could be there in Central America. We could be in Uganda. We could be there. And folks, that's what I've been trying to tell you. I'm not a racist. I don't care what religion you are. You want to bang your head against that wall, knock yourself out. You want to get down on your hands and knees and stick your nose in the dirt, your ass up in the air. I'll try to keep the dogs off of you. And if you're a Christian and you want to pray for Israel, or you want to pray to God for a Cadillac, I'll try to get, I'll talk with Jake. We'll try to put in a good word for you so God don't drop it on top of you. And the Liberty Village concept, I'm going to renew that today. I'm going to put the Liberty Village website back up, because we've got new methods of transportation. We've got new methods of energy. We have the 21st century could mark the end of the banksters. You want to go by the Mayan calendar? I think December 21st ought to be the day we foreclose on the Federal Reserve, kick the International Monetary Fund out, repossess the UN, repossess the UN building, take it back away. Rothschilds gave it to them, we can take it away. And folks, there's nothing wrong with the UN if it wasn't set up to be communist controlled. If it was based on our Bill of Rights and our Constitution, loosely based on our Constitution, I would have to go along probably with the Articles of Confederation for the